Hey, what's up everybody? I just dropped the YouTube link into the chat right here, so please hop in. I'm gonna mute myself right here, alright? Ding ding ding. Sorry it's tight here, y'all. Alright y'all, welcome. Sorry I was running here to the bell. But tight schedule here, gotta keep it. But alright, let me just set this up here real quick. Get this little cat out of my way. Alright, y'all. As always, I'm going to take my time here before jumping into anything. Just going to throw up my strikes here real quick. Let's see where we're at here. Sorry I was running a little late here, y'all. But got to get my appointments in before the bell because it's really the only free time I have. But let's see, we got Q's at 360. We got SPY at about 425 here. So just gonna hop in here and see what we got. Oh, this 427 at Beast right here. I like that. Throw up this 427. And probably gonna throw up like this 423 put. Let me check out what we got on this side. Oh, this 422 is at Beast. Okay. Let's check this out right here. Hey. So just real quick before I keep diving into my next strikes here for QQQ, a little bit of an even tug of war here. Perfectly mirrored over our current price action on SPY, right? So I'm always looking for like 2 or 3 points up. We're sitting here at about 425-ish. So I'm looking at this 422 put sitting at Beast, this 427 call sitting at Beast. Right, let's look over here to our internals. Tick opening up here at about negative 600 and making a quick run up to 0. So wouldn't be surprised if we get a little chop here or a little rotation out the gate this morning. Let's see what we get here so far. Kind of seeing it a little bit here, right? NQ pulling back a little bit. Nice red candle right here. NYM popping a little bit here in these first
everyone.
5 minutes.
Definitely tune into the YouTube screen share for the first couple hours. Richie will likely mute himself in the voice chat so you don't hear him twice, but we will have more traders on the mic in Point Traders after the stream ends.
Blasting me. But anyway, let's jump over here to these QQQ strikes, right? Looking for a similar kind of setup here. We're at about 360, a little bit farther out in the calls here for Beast, but gonna keep up here probably this 362 call, and looked like it was like that 358 put. I like that. Zoom in a little bit over here. But so far, still getting a little bit of rotation here this morning. NQ just sitting right on that point of control. This is my point of control for September, right? We're only 5 days into October here, so not really concerned with the current point of control just yet, right? It's going to aggressively follow around current price action. So not really a huge level just yet. And getting up to 0 here on tick. Right, so again, gonna expect probably a little bit of chop here this morning. A little bit of rotation. And just going to keep an eye on these strikes that I have up right here. Again, you know, QQQ in SPY. with an ATR here of about 5. We'll call both of them about 5, as you can see right here, right from this ATR column right here. So I like to just keep an eye on just about 2 or 3 points up and down, right? Here for our system, we're always keeping an eye on the call and always keeping an eye on the put at the same time, right? Per our system here, you know, we're looking to crack above and hold key levels from our beast tool here while we fail on the other side. Right, so here on the call side, right, we have this open level right in our beast zone. Really love that. And so we're looking for some support out of this zone. At the same time, I'm looking for this 422 put to fail at our beast zone, right? Or the inverse if we're to get some downside, right? SPY is up here now, coming up to test our open range sell zone. This little half highlighted zone right here, this zone will continue to highlight as price action goes on. But if we are to reject right here at our open range sell zone and at yesterday's high, right, likely this 422 put, or we'll even bump up to this 423, you know, I'm expecting these puts to start to bounce here at this beast zone. Right, our beast zone here is this highlighted green zone going all the way through. So as we start to get bounces at our beast zone here, I'm expecting a rejection from our open range sell zone on our same beast tool. Right, and then over here I'm expecting for this call to ultimately fail at this beast zone if we start to get a rejection here. But again, only been about 7 minutes here, y'all. Not trying to jump into anything just yet, right? First 30 minutes, typically a retail slaughterhouse here, so I'm just trying to collect data. Really like how this 427 call held up yesterday right near our zone. Also had that open level in our primary beast zone here. And just kind of chopped through it all day yesterday. Don't mind it, right? I really like seeing this kind of accumulation here right at our zone. Had a nice move out of it end of day. And then here we are again in this 427 call. So gonna keep an eye on this, but gotta be careful here, right? We're getting that little rejection right at this open range sell zone on SPY. Right, I know it's a little hard to see right here, but I've also got yesterday's high right at this 425.5 pretty much. We got close to it right there. Let's hop back over here to my main internals screen. Oh, and another little something here to support maybe a pullback right here. We have VIX at our open range buy zone. Could get a little support out of this zone here and ultimately go higher on VIX, which most likely will give us downside on the market. And so, and again here, you know, similar to SPY, over here on YM, we're coming up here to this open range sell zone and yesterday's high and starting to get a little bit of a rejection. We've also got some squeeze tops up here, a 1 hour and a 2 hour squeeze top right above yesterday's high as well. So definitely going to make this high from yesterday on YM a tough level to crack here. So to anyone here watching us on YouTube, if you do want to join us in text as well, please check out the link in this video description. You can hop into our Discord for free and trade along with us, you know, every single day here. We stream a couple days a week here. Got a couple traders to hop on the mic at least here pretty much every day. And we provide a ton of tools and daily market tips and recommendations as well. Starting to get a little bit of a pullback here, looking like a team pullback as well, right? Seeing a little less rotation here in this last couple minutes. Nice pullback in YM, and Q also taking a decent pullback, right? And again, we're getting this pop here on VIX, which we said would most likely give us a little downside here in the market. Keeping an eye on tick as well over here. Had a nice push through zero, but coming back down here to negative territory, right? Always looking for that initial test of zero here on tick. And we got it here pretty quickly in a decent little rejection. So let's just keep an eye on this, right, as we continue to gather data here in these opening 30 minutes or so. See how our contracts are doing over here. Man, so nice little pump here from our puts, just like we were talking about, right? We got that rejection at our open range sell zone on SPY, right where we expected. And QQQ, you know, having trouble getting through a tough psychological level here of 360, right? Little crack through it here, and we're right back down to our open range buy zone. Right, so here on our Beast tool, our open range zone is centered by this thick white dashed line right here, and this is our open level, right? This is just the opening print. And then we have symmetrical up and down, our open range sell zone above and our open range buy zone below. Even though we call this the buy zone and the sell zone, though, they are just other levels and zones of support and resistance, right? Later here, if we crack under this open range buy zone and come back up to retest it, it will then be a level of resistance. We could reject at it and go lower. But so far, these puts making a nice move here. Didn't quite get the beast on this 423. Let me hop back to this 422 I was keeping an eye on. And oof, to the cent here at our lower beast level in our beast zone. Right, we have two main levels here in our primary beast zone. This is beast itself in this lighter blue color here, this teal color. And then the red dotted one below, and then we just highlight the zone here in between. Been nice move here so far, 33 cents up to over 70 cents, right? Clean double on this 422 put here this morning. Let's see what the previous day looked like. Oh, we're just coming down to meet beast here. Similar look on QQQ as expected. But again, getting a similar look here on QQQ as we go lower, right? We're coming down to tap this point of control here from September. We've also got a 30-minute squeeze bottom. Again, you know, expecting a little bit of chop, maybe some more rotation here early this morning. Won't be surprised if both QQQ and SPY both bounce at this open range buy zone here on our Beast tool. Right, already kind of getting it here. But also this 358 put here on QQQ, we're getting kind of close to it here now with current price action, but a pretty clean double here, pretty close to our B zone, just a couple cents off, and we got about 61 cents to $1.20. Right, kind of quick, obviously, not expecting anyone to jump in these moves out the gate. I certainly did not, but this is what I'm looking for, right? I want to see price action respect our beast levels here in our beast zones. So if we do get a down day, right, we start to trend to the downside, I'm looking to pick up either of these puts here right back at our beast zone to play this exact move, right? This is always what I'm looking for before I jump into a position. I want to see the trade that I plan to take already play out, right? So as of right now, liking these puts, we're going to see if we get some continuation to the downside here, and we're going to start hitting these babies here in a couple minutes. But as always, keeping an eye on the call side as well, right? The call side, or let's just say the other side, right, will help us gauge, you know, how extended these moves are going to be. So we're cracking a little bit under beast on this 427 call, so I'm going to step closer one. Let's go to this 426 call. And this 426 call is sitting right at beast, right? So, you know, with the call side arriving at beast and SPY and QQQ even arriving at their open range buy zones, and I'm expecting a little bit of chop here, right? Because tick isn't too aggressive this morning. VIX is kind of just hanging out in our open range zone so far. Wouldn't be surprised to get a little bounce right here. Right, same with ES at our open range buy zone. Again, always looking for this thick white dash line for our beast tool, and then we can look for our zones above and below. And Q also getting to the bottom of this zone. We have a low here from the last couple of weeks and some squeeze bottoms, right? So we got a couple things here supporting a little bounce. But again, I'm not going to take a shot just yet, right? Only been about 15 minutes here. I have no rush, right? I want to see how these calls now react to our beast zone, right? If we get a weak reaction here, and then we get these puts to come back right to our beast zone, very likely these puts will work once again. Gonna move a little closer on this call as well. Just want to check out this 425. I do love, as many of you know, to check out these bigger 5-point increment psychological strikes, right? Most likely, or more than likely, retail traders like yourself and myself tend to gravitate towards these more whole numbers, right? 425 or 430, 420, etc. So especially when it's just right within range, right? We're at about 424 right here. This 425 call is not too far off. I really like to check out these bigger psychological strikes for information, right? And that's not to say that the other ones don't provide great information, but I just tend to find that, you know, something like this 425 call might be the one that stops right at beast and catches the bounce. Right, where the 426 might be a little bit deeper, or the 424 might be a little bit above. Sometimes we find that these stronger psychological strikes are the ones that really stop right at our zones. I'm going to move up this QQQ call as well, since we're dropping here a little bit, right? Trying to stay close to price action. So again, going to jump up to a bigger psychological strike now that it's more at that 2 to 3 point distance away from current price action. And so we can see here that this 360 call, not quite at our primary beast zone just yet, but it is right at that open from yesterday, right? This previous day's open, as we can see here. And it's also our open range buy zone today. So a pretty strong level here. We could catch that bounce at this level here on this 360 call, but also wary of a little bit of space here between our primary beast zone. Right, the top of the zone is also at a nice psychological level of about 50 cents. You know, we could go a little bit lower here on Qs, maybe test this 358, right, and this 1 hour squeeze bottom here on QQQ. And that could happen here without SPY going much lower, right? We start to maybe see some rotation out of YM, or I'm sorry, into YM, out of NQ. NQ can go a little lower, YM will hold up, ES will also then hold up. Ooh, you know, I have not updated my beast tool today. Oh. Update my beast levels here, though they seem to be all pretty well anyways. And for any of you who just watched me update my tool right there and you saw all of my charts flash, right, that's a little confirmation that you're updating the tool on your charts, right? I have a couple charts here open with the beast tool on it, right, and you can see that they all just kind of flashed and reset themselves because I updated the study that is on these charts. So I know sometimes we get the question of, oh, how do I know that I updated it? If you have a chart open with it on there, it'll give you that little flash. Starting to get that bounce here, right? Just like we talked about, some cash going into YM, NQ continuing to lag here a little bit. Let's see how this call is doing. Ooh, and going a little bit lower here, still right at our open range buy zone. But again, we have a little bit of room here to continue falling on this 360 call, right? Big psychological strike here for QQQ. And here we go, a little bit lower on QQQ, coming down to this 1 hour squeeze bottom. We could see our beast zone here on this 360 call, right? And on this 425 put here on SPY, right? We're getting closer to this. And the puts are making a really nice move over here. Right, and even though this is really nice and right off of our zone, you know, I don't like to dive in right at the open. You know, I like to give it some time to settle and see if we get a true direction. For right now, it looks like we might be getting it here on Qs, man. They're going down. 4280 here, a big level on ES. See if we start to put in a little bounce here. ADD down to our open range sell zone down here in the bottom left, right? And again, even though it's called the open range sell zone, all of our beast levels and zones can act as both support and resistance, right? Just depends what side you're testing it from. So again, you know, coming down here and testing this open range sell zone from above, starting to catch a little support right at it. Let's see if we ultimately put in an H and roll over. But definitely getting some rotation here this morning, right? YM popping up and holding here. Ruddy as well, our small caps right here, holding up as NQ takes the dip. So again, won't be surprised if we continue to see some chop here this morning, or maybe some rotation back even, right? NQ could maybe start to catch the bounce here, and YM starts to give it up and heads lower, maybe down to our open range buy zone where we already bounced at here this morning. Come back and check on our strikes here, and oh, here we are. This 360 call has arrived at our beast zone, right? Doesn't mean I'm just going to dive in there as soon as we're here tapping it, right? We're at some good levels here for a bounce. You know, if you are an advanced options trader and you understand risk and account management well, then yeah, you know, this isn't a bad spot to try and buy this call while there's some good momentum on the put side, right? But for right now, I'm going to be patient because we could get a little bit of chop right here, and then we'll take our entry after the fact. But I wouldn't be surprised if we get this bounce here, right? We're at some recent lows. We're at a 1 hour squeeze bottom. The call is at our beast zone, right? This is our primary buy zone right here. This is where we like to buy our options contracts. And the put, right, that we've been watching over here is at our open range sell zone. You know, very likely it gets a little pullback right here. And we're starting to see it happen here a little bit. Little bounce right where we expect, right? SPY as well, bouncing right at our open range buy zone. And man, look at the respect to our tool here from SPY, right? Got right up to our open range sell zone, rejected right at it, and now getting some support at our open range buy zone. Right, and you guys saw, you know, especially if you are newer to us, right, and you're new to this tool, this zone was already here at open, right? All of these zones generated right with this opening print. Price action came to meet this zone and rejected it, and then came to meet this zone and bounced at it. So we're going to keep an eye on this 360 call, especially as we get some rotation, right? A better trade is actually within QQQ as opposed to SPY. You know, if we continue to get rotation, which hopefully they'll cut it out here pretty soon, but if we do continue to get rotation, right, NQ is going to make a move while YM makes a contradicting move. But then ES and SPY doesn't go anywhere, right? They just kind of stay right where they're at usually. Which means that playing some SPY option contracts might be less favorable than playing the QQQ contracts, because this is going to actually make the move while rotation is happening. Right, and it's very simple, you know, why they do this and how this affects us. I'm going to show you guys right here. QQQ, right? Look at the volume here currently on the call side or on the put side. Right, I know if we go to SPY, probably going to see a lot more volume already. Decent volume, a little bit higher than QQQ. A lot more here on the put side. So they know people are playing this more, right? They know that they can mess up more people with rotation on the SPY side than on the QQQ side. Gonna share this 360 call here into the chat.
Loving this 360C right here on QQQ.
Alright, I'm kicking this bot, bro. Or muting it, I don't know. So been about 30 minutes here. Haven't really gone anywhere just yet. Q's with a little move here to the downside, but let's see what we get here. Really nice run back up here from ADD and trying to cross positive here. Getting a little pullback here. Q's down to low of day once again. A very quick H. Let's see, let's see. Not really any real pullback on this 358 put. It's now going in the money, so I'm going to actually bump out a little bit, right? Because we're not in anything just yet. This 355 put starting to crawl up into our B zone. Oh, and our trail line here in the 5 minutes starting to come down. Maybe we get picked up here by our trail line. And so again, you know, this is why I don't rush into positions, especially when we just free fall to our B zone. You know, we do get some V-shaped reversals here sometimes, but not always, right? I want to be patient. You know, I know that a nice controlled base is going to form at some point at whatever contract we end up at when Qs start to maybe put in a reversal, right, if we get it. So again, that's why I didn't jump in right here as soon as we got to this B zone, because we're still getting some good downside here, especially from QQQ. YM still holding up here a little bit, pulling back a little bit with the market, can't really resist it too much, but definitely Qs leading to the downside here. Decent little gap down here in tick to bring us back negative, right? Good attempt here from tick to stay positive, but market ain't letting it happen here this morning. Smacked right back down to negative. Let's see if we continue to put in candle bodies down here on the negative side, right? We will get some continuation to the downside if that happens. Keep an eye on ADD here as well, right? Struggling with 0. A little pop higher here on VIX, right at this open level. And again, let's go back over here to our contracts, right? Again, I'm not jumping into anything here just yet, right? We got small accounts here. We're trying to preserve capital before we're trying to just make cash, right? Many of us desperately try to make cash and then end up nuking our small accounts. Right, I know we're all tired here of depositing money into our accounts here, right? We want it to go the other direction. Gotta be patient here. Let things settle. We got plenty of day left, right? Don't gotta use up all your firepower here in the first hour. Right, and just looking here at our contracts, right, this 422 put that we've been keeping an eye on, a really nice bounce at its open level. You know, you guys hear me stressing all the time about this open level, especially here on option contracts. You know, if they continue to bounce at this open level, right, they're trying to defend this contract. You know, they want this contract to go higher if they keep bouncing it right here. Overall, going to give us downside on the market, right? So just going to continue watching these put contracts. And of course, always looking for that reversal at some point, right? But I'm not going to get in the way of this freight train right here, right? Qs are dropping and hard, right? These are some decent candles here to the downside on NQ. This 355 put looking pretty good here at our B zone. But again, you know, we've had a good move down here on Qs. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a pop soon, right? And this maybe pulls back a little bit. But regardless, I'm definitely not going to chase this downside move, right? I'm not hopping into these puts now at this point because this move is already well on its way. More than likely, a bounce will happen before I get any good premium out of contracts that I hop into right now. And no FOMO on this missed move, right? This was out the gate. This happened immediately. Can't beat yourself up and be like, oh, I missed these contracts from whatever to whatever. You know, that happens every day out here. What was the original contract we were looking at? 358. Shit, at $2 now. From about 60 cents. Right? But we see this every day, right? No FOMO here. More than likely, we're going to see this come back and do it again here later this morning. So no stress, no stress. All right, if anything, hopefully we get a slight pullback here in the puts, right? A little bounce at some point. We start to make an H. Maybe we hop into puts here on this 355 put back at like 30 cents. Maybe take it to 70, 80 cents up from there. And you know, this 360 call here, big psychological strike, taking some damage under our B zone. But this 425 put still right here at our B zone. And we also have stacked in there our open range buy zone. So really liking the possibility of a bounce here pretty soon. Right, we're at quite a few squeeze bottoms here. Right, we've got this 30-minute and 1-hour squeeze bottom on SPY. Hop back over here to our futures indices. And ES is at those same squeeze bottoms. YM still holding up decent here along with Ruddy in our open range zone. Ooh, VIX starting to crack above 19. But again, here, right at this 19, we have our open range sell zone, as well as 19 itself, a decent psychological level. So again, I'm not trying to catch the knife here, right? I want to let this settle for a minute, maybe put in a green candle or two, right? At least a little base before I hop into calls here. Right, I want to let the reversal kind of prove itself before I just dive in and start losing cash, right? Gonna hop a little closer here on the call side on QQQ. Ooh. And this 358 call right at our B zone here on QQQ. On QQQ itself, we are also approaching down here our destination buy zone, which is the lowest zone on our beast tool that we provide here. Also in here, we have this open from yesterday, is this short little white dotted line. So we could see a little bounce right around here at this 356, right? So I know I have this target below, so I'm not going to try and knife catch these calls just yet, right? We'd run the risk of still going a little bit lower here on QQQ. And again, as long as YM holds up, right, SPY could hold up here at these squeeze bottoms, allow QQQ to come down and test this, and then maybe they buy across the board, giving us a nice strong bounce. Tick up here again, cracking through 0. Not really going anywhere though. Right, and we start to see, you know, our internals, maybe like tick here, not really doing much. So I'm going to be careful here, trying to just dive into one side, because we ultimately might not go anywhere. Especially if Qs start to bounce back and get back into our range up here, could really turn into a nothing burger. But for right now, still getting a little bit of downside here. Let's see if we tap this open from yesterday. Share a little screenshot here into the chat. These puts still holding on pretty decent. This 422 getting kind of close to being in the money, pretty much right at the money. But again, getting little rejections here, right? Right at our open range sell zone, to the cent here pretty much. We've also got this low from yesterday here on Qs, not too far below current price action. Could also be another target here to the downside. So again, I'm starting to like the bounce here a little bit more. Right, still have a little room to maybe fall here on Qs, but that doesn't mean it happens, right? If anything, if it doesn't happen, it might show some good upside strength here for the reversal. Liking this 358 call here at our B zone. Let's see, maybe just one more out for you guys who maybe have smaller accounts, need something a little bit cheaper. This 359 call, trying to hang on to the bottom of our zone. I don't hate that either. Right, we just came from 360, so 359 is definitely a strike that can go in the money if we have a nice bounce. So really like what I'm seeing here so far. And again, gonna let maybe a candle or two come up down here. Let's see what we start to get. It's still early in the session, obviously, so still likely we get some volatility, right? We still have good volume here this morning. So the V could come, right? If there is a time of day that it can come, it's around this time. Starting to pop a little bit here. Nice little pop up here to 70 cents. Really like this 425 call down here as well. But again, just keeping an eye here on current price action on Qs. Right, we got a nice green 5-minute candle here. I like that. Let's see if we continue to hold here. We're trying to get a little bounce, seeing a little less rotation now, right? YM and NQ looking similar down here. Let's see if we start to get an actual move. I'm gonna go ahead and take a little shot on this 358 call. Hopping in here, let's say 60 cents, baby. Just one for now, right? I will average down somewhere in this zone, but we're just gonna get our toes a little wet here. Again, we're coming from a lot of downside, right? Doesn't mean we don't just continue. So I'm not gonna size in here, right? Especially if you have a small account, just dip your toes with one contract, right? You don't need to put your full-sized position in right away. Especially because we are here kind of knife catching, right? Just a little bit. So I'm gonna just hang on to this here for a minute, see how it reacts, take my time and add another one here as long as ES continues to hold these squeeze bottoms. Right, I wanna see VIX roll over here and give us some upside. Yeah, so we have a question on YouTube. Are there settings in TOS on the options chart for Beast to display properly? Mine seems scrunched up. Yeah, so let's jump up to the settings here. This cog wheel. We're going to go over to time axis. No, price axis. Going to go to auto right here. And you're going to uncheck this fit studies. Right, if you have this fit studies checked, you might see our tool just completely crunched up into like one gross line. Right, but uncheck this fit studies here. Make sure this is an auto, right? And then you'll be good. Again, this is in chart settings, the cog wheel at the top of your chart, right? It opens in general, go to price axis, put this to auto and uncheck fit studies right here. Hit apply and OK and you're good. If it is still crunched at that time or it still looks not like my screen, it could just be that you picked a strike that's a little too far out and our scan didn't pick it up. But hey, starting to get a little bit of juice out of this call here as we start to bounce. Right, up a couple cents here. And so again, I'm only in here with one contract for now, right? Not expecting just a total rocket ship from here. Could start to get a little H, right? Maybe a little double bottom, and that's gonna allow me to jump into another contract or two as we sit here at Beast. But most importantly, right, I wanna see us just start to get some support at Beast, right? I don't need a V right here, but I do need this to just hang on to this zone here for a couple minutes, and then we'll make the move here, you know, shortly after, right? I can hang on for that much time. Still early in the day, even with these same day expirations, right? As long as we're holding this zone here, I'm not stressed. But again, always looking to the other side here to pull information, right? Again, you know, this 422 put, for example, coming back down here to its open level. If it holds this open level, right, that's bad news for my call on this side. And same thing with this QQQ put. Right, if we keep holding at our beast zone right here, that's bad news for my call. So at this point in time, right, I want this 355 put to fail at our buy zone, because that means that my call is going to be working at our buy zone. And so still here, you know, not like heavy rotation, but definitely YM getting a little more love here in this bounce than NQ. Our three major indices here, just a little red. Ruddy trying to hang green, but also flashing red here a little bit. We're starting to get a little more price action here on tick to the positive side. Still pretty evenly drawn here, but at least starting to make a little bit more of a decent push to the upside, right? And VIX rejecting here a little bit at our 19, right, and at our open range sell zone. So, you know, this pop might look pretty okay. Let's see. Gonna average up here just real quick. Don't want to let it get too far away from me. Come on, let me in. Alright, so I'm in 2 contracts here of this 358 call at about 63 cents. And again, you know, what I'm really looking for here is just a move back up, right? I'm not going to be super greedy here because overall we have gotten a lot of downside here in these past couple weeks, right? Our macro trend here is definitely to the downside right now. So my expectations for an upside move are going to be limited, right? I'm not expecting high of day here from QQQ. Right, especially when I have more than one contract, right? So I'm looking right here for this bounce to possibly be short-lived. So what I'm gonna do here is with my first contract, right, I'm gonna try to offload it kind of quickly, right? I'm not gonna be greedy. I got in at about like 60 cents on that first contract, right? My average is 63 cents. You know, I'm not going to try to get too much more out of it than like this buck. Right, which would get me up to VWAP here as well on this contract. And again, I'm in here with a small size, right? We just printed a maybe right at that low of day on Qs. So again, if this starts to just flush on me, you know, this isn't gonna make or break me right here. I'm in here for a $1.20, a $1.26 total, right? Low risk here. But gonna give it a little chance to work. I know we just printed low of day on this contract, but we're still in our B zone. Qs itself is still holding that low of day, and we're getting what we asked for, right? I said I want to see a couple green candles here, maybe a little H to get into another one, right? I could have averaged down a little bit, but you know, here we are. But we're holding, right? Want to see this hold, right? Want to see these puts continue to kind of maybe put in a little downtrend, right? Not get through our zones here to the upside and start to roll over on these puts, right? These puts start to roll over, these calls are going to start pumping. And again, we got a couple catalysts on our side here. This 425 call, really nice psychological strike right here, right at our B zone. And since Qs had a nice drop this morning, maybe we have a little more room to the upside on Qs, right? We see a lot of manipulation early in our sessions. Qs could come and snap right back. But also, like I just said, right, overall trend has been to the downside. So I'm going to keep my expectations in check here if we do get this bounce, right? I'm going to be very conservative with this first contract, right? I want this first contract to pay for most of my second contract, so then my second contract I can be risky, right? If I get out of one contract at about $1, right, I made about 40 cents on a 60-cent contract. That's most of the second contract, right? So I could deal with down to 20 cents and still be flat on the position if I get out of that first contract at $1, right? Obviously, I'm not going to let that happen to myself, but that allows me to defend that second contract and be more risky with that second contract, right? So if I can get out here near $1 on this first contract, I have much less stress hanging onto that second contract to get to maybe this open from yesterday at $1.04. Right? And with a small account, you know, that's all the risk you should be taking. You should be really shooting for some attainable goals. You know, the more contracts you start to pile on, well, then the deeper you can go into a run, right? Or the riskier you can be trying to get a run up. But if you have one contract at 60 cents or two contracts at 60 cents, you know, you have no business holding on to those contracts, you know, to get back to like this open level at 250, right? If you're trying to take 60 cents to 250 just out the gate, you are doing this wrong. I'm sorry. So again, just trying to keep expectations in check here. Bounce looking decent here so far, right? We're getting exactly everything we asked for on the way down. A little base here. Ooh, these puts coming down a little bit more, right? Nice full test of this open level on this 422 put. But again, what did I say, right? If they keep defending this open level, we're probably going to get downside, right? If they keep bouncing here. But again, just using the other side to gauge information on how far my side is going to go, right? So if we start to bounce here at our lower beast level on this 355 put, and we start to keep bouncing here at this open level on this 422 put, then my 358 call is not going to go anywhere, right? So a really nice run up here to 85 cents from our 63-cent entry, right? Let's see if we can keep pushing here and maybe crack a little higher, right? Would like to see QQQ reclaim this 1 hour squeeze bottom and this 30-minute squeeze bottom. But we got some things to crack through, right? SPY down here is working on trying to get back into our open range zone, right? It's trying to get above this open range buy zone, which is acting as resistance right now. We're trying to get through VWAP right here, these white triangles on my chart, and we're trying to get through this 5-minute 21. So here we are getting that little pullback here at these levels that we've been talking about, right? But my call still hanging on here and is green, right? Just a little bit green, but hanging on. Keeping an eye on my puts here, right? Want to keep seeing this 355 put struggle with VWAP right here. I want to see this 355 put fail at our B zone here. Same with this 422 put, right? I want to see it crack under this open level and fail at our B zone. We gotta be careful here though, right? VIX a little drip at this 19. But not dropping hard, right? Staying near here. Our internals are pretty relaxed right now, right? So could be a very slow pop if it is a pop. Could be a very slow rollover if it is a rollover. Right? Or just very slow here, sideways action, and then boom, a snap up or a snap down. Regardless though, no effing idea what comes next, right? And don't let anyone tell you otherwise, right? I'm in a call here. I'm taking a shot on the call side. Little law of averages here, right? Had a decent little drop. We're down at our destination buy zone, near this open from yesterday, near this low from yesterday. So expecting that if they intend to bring us a little bit higher here over the week, right, that we're going to hold these levels, right? We're going to hold yesterday's low if their goal is to ultimately go higher. They're going to hold this open level from yesterday. But again, no idea, right? I just know that I'm taking a shot where I should be taking shots, right? Right at our B zone, right at some key inflection points on the equity, right? It's really the best thing you can do here on the market. No one has any idea which way we will snap out of consolidation, right? When we start to flag like we are here or like we are here. But we find good places to put on risk and you just take a shot, right? I have a great upside plan for my calls here, but also most importantly is my plan to bail out, right? I'm in here at about 60 cents. I will bail out if we lose our B zone here, right? That's going through low of day, dropping under our buy zone. I will take a small cut here on these contracts. but it at least looks like they might be wrapping up the rotation here, just kind of getting some back and forth, you know, some chop across the board, but seems pretty synchronized for right now. But again, since we got rotation this morning a little bit, right, I'm choosing QQQ over SPY, because if they do decide to rotate again, Qs will make the move. Right, which move, right, up or down, no idea. But it is less likely to stay parked than SPY, because SPY depends on both YM and NQ. Right? ES depends on YM and NQ, as well as Ruddy, to make its moves. Getting a little pullback here again in this consolidation. See what it looks like over here on the futures. Looking a little more out of small caps here, taking a little bit of a dive. Ooh, YM a little more than NQ, but NQ getting to low of day here. ES low of day. We might have to bail on these calls. Let's see, let's see. But again, right, we talked about this. Could come down and see yesterday's low on QQQ, right? Very, very possible. Let's see if we can hold our B zone here, or if we're going to take a little bit of a cut. But again, we are at some key levels for a bounce. You know, this could be a head fake, and then they bounce it. Gonna give this a chance here through this open level and through this low from yesterday. I will average down here, bring my average down right before I cut. And again, looking to the put side here to gauge these moves. Right, this 422 put again up to our open range sell zone. See if we get a repeat of right here. This 355 put did print a high of day, but again at that same zone. Gonna average down here one time. Give it a sec. Let's see if we blast through low of day. But again, I'm going to give this a little chance here to hit this open from yesterday and this low. Going to hop into another contract here. See if it lets me. Okay, it seems like it did let me, even after some crying. My average is at 56 cents, right? You don't want to average down into oblivion, but we are going to average down right before we cut. And again, got a small position here, so not stressing too hard. We are cracking underneath. A lot of support here. So let's see here, let's see. All right, yeah, gonna cut this baby down here. And we can always re-enter, right? And again, you know, we could very well get the bounce right here, right? But that's okay. We can always re-enter. Took a small cut, no big deal. We're right at yesterday's low here on tech, on Qs, right? A nice push higher here on VIX through 19. Tick down to through negative 1,000 here. Right, again, don't want to get in the way of this freight train. Going lower here. Right, we took a shot where we should take a shot. Didn't work out, but that's all right. Can always re-enter here. But we're going to give it time, right? And again, you know, looking to our puts, always looking to the other side. Continuing to defend our beast levels, right? Continuing to defend them. Right, and I said it here earlier this morning, you know, my initial thesis was I'm going to jump into some puts when they come back down. Right, we did take a little shot here on the reversal instead, but again, no idea, right? No idea, just taking shots where we should take shots and letting it play out. Right, just as easily at that moment in time, we could have bounced at our B zone and lost the other levels we were talking about on this side. But let's see what we start to get here, right? We still could get this bounce here pretty soon, but again, I'm not going to knife catch it and just dive right back in, right? Already took a little cut. Gonna have to let that upside really prove itself if we're going to jump in there. We did get a tick of negative 1,000, right? Many times when we do get a print of 1,000 or negative 1,000, could indicate a reversal. But let's see if we just continue to punch candles down here at this negative 1,000, we will continue lower. And let's see VIX here. Let's see if we get up to 19.5, 20 above. And we're at this low here from at QQQ from yesterday. And let's see what we get here, right? Don't mind if we continue to the downside and we have just a nice clean trending day. That will make puts very easy to day trade here if we just continue lower, right? So ultimately here, looking for that lowercase h, right, to get an entry into puts and continue lower. But again, have to be careful here with Qs at yesterday's low. Decent little crack under it, so let's see if they continue to allow price action to print under these lows or under this open from yesterday. But again, going to be extra patient here, right? Already took a little cut on the calls. And we have now had a decent downside move, right? I don't want to chase here at low of day. Let's see if we start to put in another little flag again, and then we can hop in to the downside, right? I don't want to fight trend either. You know, I'm willing to fight trend in the opening 30 minutes or so, right? Getting to that opening hour or so. Because we do see some increased volatility in the morning and some head fakes and some manipulation. But as we start to drift now into this second hour of the session, it is possible and it is very likely that we start to just continue to see the trend play out. And here we are at a lot of really key levels for a bounce, right? We're at squeeze bottoms here on Ruddy, 30-minute, 1 hour, 30-minute, 1 hour on YM, cracking a little bit under the 30-minute and 1 hour here on ES, right? But we are at that open from yesterday. And NQ as well, right? Already below those 1 hour and 30-minute squeeze clouds, and getting down to this low from yesterday, right? We kept talking about it up here. You know, we had that little bit of space, and boom, we got it. So now we got to see down here what they're really intending to do. And again, you know, I'm only looking to take a couple good trades every day, right? I'm not trying to dive in here at every flag, at every reversal, right? In this downside, right, especially towards the middle of the session, you know, even if they do continue downside towards the end of the session, right, there will probably be a decent pop back for big money to reload, right, for them to re-rack and then continue the move lower. And we see it every single day, right, especially towards the middle of a session. It's usually a very slow H, right, something that drags out for a little bit. And so we just have to let that happen before we dive into a move. You know, especially after a good downside move, right? And obviously we're watching these puts work really well without us. You know, it's easy to get FOMO and just try to dive in, right? Saying, oh, this is the pullback here at $1, let's go higher. Which is of course possible, right? Possible, but I'm just playing probabilities here, right? I want to again see these puts come back down to this open level, right? I want to see this 355 put come back down to our beast zone again, and then we hop in. Tick up to 0 again here from that low of day. See how this interaction goes, right? Starting to roll over here a little bit on tick. Might just keep getting more downside here. And again, y'all, I'm trading real slow here, right? Taking small sizes with you guys because I know that a majority of people who follow us have small accounts, right? If you're an advanced trader and an advanced options trader, right, and you know what you're looking at here, take those shots without me, right? Don't wait on me, you know? But just always understand the risk, right? But I know some of our more advanced members were probably seeing this morning. We're like, I'm taking a shot on this side, right? As I was even saying myself early into the session. But again, my intent here is to take it slow and to teach our system. Alright, so this 425 call now kind of getting out of our range here. Gonna tighten this up right here. Let's bring this down to like the 423 call. 423 call here in Beast, and kind of near this 50-cent mark. I like that psychological level. Kind of getting a quick H right here on the indices. Don't love that. Right, I want to jump into some downside, but I want a nice bounce first, right? I want a nice clear bounce. I know that most of us have the same issue, right? We usually jump in too early into a position, right? I still do that to this day. So I try to remember to be pickier, right? Allow a nice bounce to happen before I jump in on the H, right? To continue the trend. And again, that doesn't mean that it doesn't just happen right now, right? Always possible. But I know that that other trade I'm looking for exists, right? And happens pretty much every day. So I'm just gonna let that come to me. Right, I know that many of us, especially with small accounts or a small cash account, sometimes have the tendency of using all of our firepower in like the first hour or two of the session, right? And then some really obvious and easy trades come towards the middle or towards the end, and we're like, fuck, I'm out of cash, right? So more than anything here, just trying to preserve capital and stay in the game. And of course, you know, I'm always trying to tell people as well, if this does happen to you, right, if you do run out of firepower early into the session, that doesn't mean just get up and leave and continue about your day. If you have the time to sit and still look at charts, right? You're not going to get better at trading by not sitting at desk and watching charts. So please, y'all, a major recommendation I can give is, even though, you know, if you have a small account and a cash account and you use all of your buying power for a day, stick around, right? Keep studying the charts that you trade. Gonna bump a little bit closer here on the Q calls. Okay, this 357, now the one kind of in play. Sideways right at our B zone here. Sitting right at yesterday's low and this open level from yesterday, and at our destination buy zone right here. I don't hate it. But again, you know, wary for the upside here as we just keep getting downside. We are at some great levels for a bounce. Just want to let it prove itself. All right, we still got tick here rejecting at 0. ADD sitting here near these lows. VIX still decently up here, you know, above 19. Gonna bump down in puts here on SPY. Let's go down to like this 420 put. Ooh, and this 420 put been looking pretty good here at our B zone all morning. Just trying to hang on. Right, and again, you know, this is what I'm talking about when I say that I'm trying to just gather data early into the session, right? This is a nice hold here at our zone and at our open level. right? Again, you know, I did take the shot on the call side and was wrong earlier, but that's gonna happen, right? This is trading. But we shake that off and we move forward, right? And we're still just gathering data here. These puts continuing to look pretty good here at our levels. Let's bump down to this 354 puts. Ooh, maybe this 353 put here on Qs. A little bit below beast. But some cheaper contracts here for our small accounts. Hey, you're in that 419 put. Let's take a look at that, baby. Nice, nice. A little bit cheaper, but still has that same setup here that we're looking for. Right, as long as this just keeps holding this open level, not a bad position. But honestly, really loving how both sides look here, which kind of sucks, right? This is where this gets a little bit tricky. But again, I'm just gonna let this prove itself, right? Let it snap one way, let it snap the other way, and then we'll hop in on a retest, right? Likely once we break out of this little consolidation, right, and head higher or head lower, there will be a retest of this consolidation. Right, not guaranteed, but as I look for a safer trade, that's going to be my safer trade, right? If we break out to the upside and then never look back, right, I will gladly just miss that trade, right? I know that I will get my desired trade at some point later today. Or same thing to the downside, right? If we start to break the downside here, likely we get a little retest of this zone real quick and then break lower. But overall, just gotta wait here until we get that snap. ADD getting pretty close here to its open level. Do have a little bit more room to fall here on Qs as well, right? We got this low of week down here, giving us a little downside target. YM starting to complete this H. Oh, we are breaking lower here. ES cracking a little bit lower, but NQ trying to hold up here at these levels we've been talking about. Right, got to be careful here at these opens from yesterday. Right, this low from yesterday here. YM is also at its open from yesterday and these squeeze bottoms. We could get this little head fake here. Right, they dip lower, get people all riled up for the downside, and then they pop right back to the top of this consolidation. Right, and that's why I'm being extra picky here with my entry. And really extra picky with what side I even end up choosing here. All these contracts look great here. Definitely at a critical moment here for the market. Nice bounce for a tick down here. Negative 1,000 coming back up to 0, but struggling with the 0, right? Might still be biased to the downside here. But again, we are at previous day's open here on all three of our major indices. Could easily be a bounce, right? And it'll happen quickly. Tick will just break above 0 and just stay there, and we'll start to climb. Personally, what I'm feeling is I would like to actually jump into calls here because of these levels that we're at. But again, I am just hesitant because the trend is to the downside right now. Right, and so because I am very undecided at this moment in time about what I want my trade to be, I'm just not going to take a trade at all. Right, you don't have to be in a trade at all times. You don't even have to trade every single day. Better to be patient and conserve capital. Ooh, ADD down to this open level. Let's see if we start to crack below it. It's also this low of day. Or maybe a very critical spot for ADD to bounce. Let's see. ES and YM trying to maybe go a little bit lower here. Still trying to hang on to these previous days open. And Q's holding up a little bit here. YM right at low of day and pushing it. A little hard to see here in these squeeze clouds, I know. This orange line right here, though, is low of day. And even though we've had a decent move here to the downside so far, ES down here about 36 points, right? We look over here to our ATR column, and ES has an ATR of about 56 points, you know, as an average move. So we still have plenty of downside in the tank, right? We don't have to bounce here. Oof, a break lower here for ADD. Ruddy about to flush this H. Right, here's our lowercase h. But again, you know, even after, you know, this decent downside move, you know, it's harder to love the puts at this point, right? Because the risk reward has diminished on that side, you know, and just playing probabilities, right? Again, doesn't mean we don't just flush from here and those puts take off, but they have also already made a decent move to the upside, right? They need maybe a little relief before going higher again. Oh, starting to break here a little bit lower on SPY, probably led by YM. Let's see, yep, a little bit lower on YM here. Right, not surprised to see tech now holding up as it was leading to the downside earlier, right? Still seeing some rotation here. VIX starting to crack above 19.5. Breaking a little lower here on ADD. But again, I'm not going to chase this move down, right? If anything, I would like a nice, decent pop and hold here through the lunch hours to then maybe take a bigger lowercase h back down. Right, I'm not looking to chase these puts here since they're already so jacked up. A little lower here on YM and ES. Oof, we're coming down to this low from yesterday most likely. But still catching little bounces, right? These little bounces is what kind of hurts us here on the premium on the put side. It's 420 making a nice little move here. getting a nice little bounce here just to hold us up at these levels. Tick coming up to 0 again, right? Let's see what this interaction at 0 is again here on tick. See if we just get more of the same, right? And we continue lower. Alright, y'all, I'm going to wrap up my session here. I got to bounce. Sorry I was a little late this morning. Had an appointment early this morning. But I will be on again live streaming my session tomorrow morning. So I hope to see you guys there. We'll definitely be up and streaming before the bell as well, instead of just right at it like this morning. But keep an eye on these contracts for sure, right? We're starting to see the pullback here in this 420 put, right? Could be a good one if we get back to the beast here at about 30 cents. Maybe down to this 23 cents, you know, if you want, of course, if you can afford it, get a little closer. Right, this 421, oof, off this open level here this morning, 35 cents. To pretty much a buck here, right? And you know, just always just looking for the same move over and over again. So keep an eye on these puts, y'all. Start to move closer if we do start to catch a nice bounce and maybe ultimately a rejection here late into lunch or something of the sorts. But I hope the rest of your trading day is excellent, y'all, and I will catch you guys tomorrow morning. And of course, we will do a prep on Sunday. But all right, y'all, stay safe out there. See ya.